So, as Jen just mentioned, my story is one about transformation. So I figured I would bring my magic wand, but I'm going to set it aside for the moment. I think I might need it later. So everything that I've done in my professional life has really happened under my father's shadow. My dad got to the top of his profession in his early 30s, and he just stayed there. He became director of an institute, and he stayed in that job until he retired, gritting it out. And from him I got the message that if you weren't suffering, it wasn't work. The idea that you could do work that you derive pleasure from and, God forbid, make a living and earn abundantly, that was just out of the question. So, now both of my parents are economists, and just to become a voting member of the family, I got a doctorate. That was just for starters. But I didn't go into academia. In fact, I've spent most of the last decade working for an industrial supply company in Santa Fe Springs, owned by a cranky, rich, Irish Chicago family. And it's not a nice place to work. Like, it really is an atmosphere ruled by fear rather than encouragement. And for example, if you work there answering the phones, taking sales orders over the phones, you're allowed to make one mistake a month. But if you make 2 or 3 mistakes a month for 3 months, that's it, you're canned. You're just out of there. So as it happens, I performed really well there, and I managed to survive for, as I say, almost a decade. But I would sort of hide at lunchtime in my little white Nissan Versa that was way too small for me, and just cry tears of frustration and anger, and then snap out of it and realize that I was going to be 2 minutes late back after lunch, and my manager was probably going to take me to the windowless room and have a conversation with me about how I wasn't adhering to the attendance policies of the company. So, you get the picture. Anyway, a couple of years ago, my dad's health started to fail, and under the Family and Medical Leave Act, I was able to take a couple of months and go to Ireland to spend time with him. And while I was there, the question came to me, who would I be if I wasn't my father's son? And so I spent a lot of time with my dad, but I also started to spend some time with writers and artists and theater people, God forbid. And when I came back to the States, I had also recently just found the Esalen Institute. And I hear some little chuckles of recognition. For those of you who don't know, the Esalen Institute was founded by a couple of LSD dropping hippie dropouts in the 60s. And it's evolved somewhat in the last 50 years, but so it's become a place where you can go and take workshops on dance, and it's all about the human potential movement. So I went there and my life changed instantly. I became a real devotee of ecstatic dance, and that was just all I wanted to do anymore. The job paled into the background shadows, and I was still there working and kind of going there, but I was just thinking, okay, Tuesday evening, there's a class in Santa Monica, I'm going to go there and do that. And so it's now December 2012. I'm at the end of like a 5-day soul motion workshop that's taking place in the Dance Dome at Esalen, which is this giant yurt that overlooks the Pacific Ocean. And I'm on my back on this mound of pillows, like, I swear to God, like this high, so I'm up on this mound of pillows somehow. And my hand is hanging down, and there's this woman that I've been dancing with all week who's holding my hand and looking up at me. It's kind of half Pietà, half Michelangelo's creation. So looks into my eyes for way too long and says, Kieran, I'm a life coach, and I feel moved to offer you a free session. So I hear the word free, and okay, so I kind of dry off my tears and climb down off the pillows, and we go outside and sit on a rock overlooking the Pacific. And she says, okay, so tell me a little bit about what's going on. She says it far more soulfully than that, but, and you know, I begin to talk about the job and so on, and then she goes, okay, I'm getting an intuitive hit here, and I wonder, would you like me to share it with you? And so I nod my head rigorously, and she looks at me and she says, quit your fucking job. I went back to LA and put the wheels in motion, and as it happened, the day that I intended to be at work for the last day was the day that I was at my father's bedside in Ireland when he died. And so, in some way, I took that as his blessing, you know, that he was blessing the decision. And but now we laid my dad to rest, and I spent a little bit of time in Ireland, and I came back to the States, but now I was free, you know, so I was ready for anything, and I went to Esalen for 3 months.
Whoa!
And I worked in the farm and garden there, and dance workshops, and things really got going though when I went to Northern California dance camp, which takes place in the Sequoias in the middle of the summer. And so I'm at dance camp at this kind of arts and crafts table. I'm looking across at this group of like 5 little girls, and they're making little arts and crafts projects, and suddenly they're coming towards me with this object. And they're like a troop of swans or something. They're just swan. The first woman is the first little girl. She's 6 years old. Comes forward and she says to me, "Kneel down, please." So I do, as one does. And she placed the wand on my shoulder, and she said, "Arise, rainbow feather." So I decided, okay, I'm going to own that. Rainbow feather. And it just seemed like the perfect name to capture the horizon of possibility beyond my father's life. Thank you very much.